here on Technique Tuesday. I hope you are all doing well. And today I'm going to be talking about this lovely little pattern. It's called Izzy Dolls. And it is by Esther Brathwaite Designs. And you see the little bellies? And I knit some of these. These make great little comfort dolls. So for those little kitties out there that are very uncertain of what's going on right now and need a little bit of cheering up, these dolls can be knit with worsted weight yarn, and you can use up your odds and ends and make these cute little dolls that I show you how I changed mine just a little bit. You know how I do. Anyway, so I started with this Kabasi Plus, and it is left over from my blanket that I did, and I added a few colors. I added Karen's birthday suit colorway. It makes a perfect skin. And if you look at my little dollies, their hair is not done yet. Oops. Their hair is not done yet, but this is what I have so far. And I started my little dollies. I used Judy's Magic Cast On the bottom because this pattern is a pattern that has you do some seaming. And I wanted to make mine seamless. So I started with Judy's Magic Cast On 8 stitches, knit 1 round to start with, and then I increased every round until I had my 16 stitches on each needle, which is the 32 stitches that it called for. And it just made it really nice looking on the edges. And then I had no seaming, which is kind of cool. And then as we're going along, I had to keep changing colors. And I'll show you what I did on when I changed my colors in just a moment here. But I also, you have to make this seam in here. It's actually not a seam. You just take a strand of yarn. Say you take a piece of that Kabasi Plus and you split it in half and get just a couple strands of it. And then you go back and forth with your darning needle. See, I had a darning needle here somewhere. And what you would do is you just figure out what line you're going to be following, and you can actually mark it. Say I want to use my skin colored yarn, and I would take one strand here, and then I would begin my seam here and here. And you have to make sure it's the same. See how it marks differently on the back? So you would have to decide where you want it and just make sure that seam stays the same on both sides. And then you can just use your darning needle and go back and forth and make a little line there. And when I went from black, I made my seam with black color, white color, the skin tone color, and then I did a little bit of the blue color. After you put on this little skirt, you can just make a little line up in there, but it doesn't go all the way up. But that's how I marked that, to keep that line completely straight and not wonder where to put that line. Another thing that I did on mine is when I got to the neck, I did the neck by, let me show you one that's done. See, here's my neck right here, and I did this by, on the very last 2 rows of my pink, I did knit 2 together all the way across the round for 2 rounds. And then I picked up the skin tone and I did knit front and back for 2 rounds. So that was pretty cool, and that made it so I didn't have to do there's no seaming in here. That's the way it looks. And so it gives you minimal finish work. And then what I did with my eyes when I was going along is I would place my eyes, put my eyes in position right before I got very far up. I did it, and while I still had the stitches on the needle. So what I did is I counted 5 stitches in and 3 stitches down, and then I marked that. And so on this side again, 5 stitches in and 3 stitches down. And then I would have the perfect placement for my eyes, and I wouldn't have to guess whether or not it's symmetrical. And so that made it easy for me to put my eyes in place. Now make sure, also I wanted to show you this little thing here. When I didn't have the perfect hair color, so what I did is you can mix different weights of yarn. So this is 2 strands of fingering weight, which equaled my worsted weight. So when you're going along, if you're using up odds and ends and they're different weights, maybe you can double them together and use it and have the perfect hair color. Because when I was doing my Kabasi Plus, I couldn't find brown hair, the brown colorway in Kabasi Plus, so I went to regular Kabasi. So that was totally cool. So always keep that in mind when you're using up your little bits of yarn, that you can use different weights. It works great. Also, one more thing to talk about. Yes, Jim?
Oh, everyone's coming online and they're saying good morning.
Everyone. I hope you are all doing well. And make sure that when you're at home, look at these lovely projects, because being able to stay busy during this stressful time, it's fantastic. And doing these little dolls, it's a quick knit little thing. I mean, literally, I did up to here, and it took me a little over an hour, and I have the better part of 2 dollies done. And the seaming work is pretty fast too. I can seam both of these in about an hour. So it's not really that complicated. And this Izzy doll pattern by Esther Braithwaite Designs on Ravelry is a free pattern, and she has several little dolly patterns. So if you want to make little boys, she has little boys, and she has different outfits. And so I was thinking that I'd do several of them, quite a few of them actually, because I would like to give them away to little kids in need. I was thinking that I want to make the little boxes for Operation Christmas Child for Christmas time. And I thought I'd put little dollies in there. And then I was also thinking, what about the Women's Center in downtown? Maybe those little kids could use some little dollies. So those are different places that I was thinking that I could take the little dollies. And maybe you have some different places where you live that you can donate the dollies to and give them good homes.
Or they could post it. Tell us, just so people get ideas on where they can help.
Yes, maybe if you have some great ideas, go ahead and let us know, because we always love hearing from you. And these Izzy dolls, I found this from one of our VIP members. And thank you, Peggy Mowry. She posted them last week, and I thought they were so cute. I'm like, what a great idea. And so she is definitely my inspiration. I got these great ideas from Peggy. Thank you, Peggy. It's totally awesome to have great knitters in our VIP group. And if you haven't seen that before, the VIP group is a bunch of very talented knitters that help each other out. So you can go there and sign up. It's free, right, Jim?
Yep.
Yes, and it's a great way to have like a knitting group that is online, so you can do it from your home and stay safe during this time. So that is a plus too right there, right, Jim?
Yep.
So anyways, okay.
Oh, I can say one thing, because I saw this myself.
Go ahead.
Because, you know, it's been stressful. And so I watched you yesterday, and you had your little headset in, and you were listening to a book on tape or whatever you're listening to.
Yep.
And you're knitting away, and you had a big smile on your face. So you kind of were in Kelley's world.
Yes, it was kind of fun because, I don't know, I thought the little dollies, as they were forming into the cute little dollies, I'm like, oh, this will make a little child happy. And so that always warms my heart. And especially during this time when everything is kind of heavy and scary, it's just a little bit of sunshine in your day. So take a look at the pattern, and it's lovely that it's free, so it doesn't cost anything, and you can use odds and ends to make it. And don't forget, as we're going along, we want to know where you're from and what you're working on. And every week we have a prize, right, Jim? Mm-hmm. And so for last week, it was, we had this as one of our prizes. It's our Bravo Petites. It's 100% baby alpaca. And you guys got to choose between the two colorways. And I think you chose this one.
Well, it was about half and half, but I think it's slightly toward the wine.
Yes. And so anyways, lovely yarn. I've been using this. If you guys haven't tried the Bravo Petites and the regular Bravo yarn, it's fantastic. It's a great quality baby alpaca yarn. Totally fun. I love it.
It's 100%, right?
Yes, 100% baby alpaca made in Peru. And then this Kabasi Plus, I was thinking that we could offer this for the price this week. Maybe Karen's birthday surprise, or this one's called Aqua Mint. And so you guys choose. You help us decide which one we're going to send in the mail.
So what color is it? Can you say peach and green or something? Or?
You can say peach. This is Karen's birthday surprise, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's Karen's birthday suit, and it's meant to be skin tone. So I really like this one because if you look at my little dollies, don't their skin tones look good? Looks really cute. I have some tan. I wanted to use some with the tan too, but I do like this colorway. It's pretty nice. So anyways, and you can see, you guys, do you see when I'm doing my little dollies? I just have a nice long cord here, and I could even do 3 at a time if I had 3 balls of each yarn. I could just line them all up and do them at once. But it's easy to do, and it's very seamless. There's not much you have to do other than making a few lines. You have to make a line for each arm, to just indentation to make that more defined, and then for the legs. I thought it was pretty cute. And on my little dolly, I think I added 2 extra rows to each section, just so I made it a little tiny bit bigger. But I kept the 32 stitch count. So anyway, it's totally awesome. Don't forget, you guys, at the beginning of April, right, Jim?
Right, April 1st.
April 1st, we're, Malabrigo is going to be doing a knit-along, but using Dos Tierras. And if you haven't seen this yarn before, it's 50% merino, 50% baby alpaca. It's a hand-dyed yarn. And this knit-along utilizes 3 skeins. And this was their, what do you call it, their premier colors that they were using just for the cowl, that were hand dyed just for the cowl. And so these colorways are beautiful, but we have a bunch of different colors if this isn't to your liking. So this Odyssey Shawl, again, April 1st by Joji Locatelli, and it is, there she is, and it is on Ravelry. It's a free download. We just have been advising everyone, and they're saying on their site that the gauge is a little different. So to make sure and take note of that. Gauge is always important. It's totally.
And we have all the notes on our website too. We have a blog on it.
Right.
That Kathleen posted.
Good. That's fantastic. Also, I left a little tiny bit of poly fill here, and I wanted you to know that when you stuff your little dollies, to just use little bits. It keeps lumps from forming inside your dollies. So if you're using this fiber fill it with little tiny bits. And then on our eyes, I went to Jim's work chest, his tool chest, and got some super glue.
I was looking for that.
He's going, oh, you make sure you put that back. I want to find it next time I need to use it, right? But this super glue, when you're putting on these eyes, because little kids might be using it, you would just put a little tiny bit of super glue on the inside of this little plastic sleeve before you put that over the top of your eye, and then squeeze it tightly. And then it makes it secure so that little ones can't get those eyes off. They're super glued into place, which is totally fantastic. So let's take 1 second and see if we can go around here to our edges, and I'll show you my edges. Now, when I did my edges, because I was trying to keep my dollies kind of simple, I didn't do the most beautiful edges like Peggy did hers, but I'll show you how Peggy did hers, and that was totally cool. So first of all, let me see if I can
So what are you showing here?
Flip this around. What we're doing right here is looking at jogless stripes. So these are the beginning of my stripes. Mind you, it looks pretty good, and I did not do any seaming to make this look like this. That's the way, the way that it looked. So, and all I did is, when you pick up, when you're knitting stripes, anytime that you're knitting stripes, it's knit in sort of a spiral. So when you pick up your new color and you knit all the way around, it has a jog that's 1 stitch up. Okay, so it's always a challenge to how to make the beginning and the end of your stripes match and make them look good. So that's what I'm talking about this morning. So I picked up my new color and went all the way around, knitting just as I normally would. And let's look on here. So I've come all the way to the end. Now on Peggy's method, Peggy Mowry showed us this in the VIP group, and I've been wanting to look at this. They tell you to take the last stitch of the round before when you first start. Do you see my working yarn right here starts on this stitch? Is because I put that very last stitch of the previous round and knit it first. And then I began knitting all the rest of it all the way around. Now that I'm back to my very last stitch, to the only thing that hers tells you to do is to take this strand from the stitch below and stick it up on the needle, and then you're going to knit that. Okay, and then mind you, this peach colorway is loose. That's all you do to do Peggy's method. And what it does is it brings the stitch right here down just a little bit, so that when you're knitting, it makes your stripe look better. Okay, now let's go over here and knit a little bit, and I'll show you what I did with mine. Mine was super easy way that I did it, but let's knit across here with this one, and then take a look and see what that edge looks like, where that join from between the rows, what that looks like, if it looked pretty good or what it looks like. So Peggy offered this on the VIP Facebook group, and she's so awesome. If you haven't seen her little projects that she knits, they are so cute, huh, Jim? She got some really cute ones. So you can't really see yet, but do you see how it kind of brought it down? So now when I come back around here, it's going to kind of squish it into place. And remember that this one peach stitch here that's a little bit big is only big because I haven't pulled it tight yet. Do you see how it's going to bring it right into position? So it's going to look really nice. So that method, I really like that method. Now, I'll show you what I did with mine. And everything gets all tangled up and turns into a hairy mess. Sorry about that. Okay, when you're using all these different strands and everything, and the magic loop method 2 at a time, you just have to be patient and just go with it, you know? You do not get stressed about this. The whole thing is supposed to be a fun time, and so we just don't get stressed with stuff. We just take our little ends and move them off to the left here so they're out of our way, and then we grab our second little dolly that we have here, our little comfort dolly, and then when I get to this second row, because I have several rows in between, it doesn't matter if I miss one little stitch. So I'm going to actually slip this one, and I'm going to knit the next one. And if you see, let's knit across, and we'll take a look and see what that does. So either one of these methods will work exactly pretty darn nice looking when you're done. But all I do is knit one round in the new color and then slip that very first stitch of the very next round, and then we'll see what we got. Okay, so what we're trying to do is make our rows come back into position so that they snug down closer to the row below. So let's see if maybe I can knit just a little bit more. Also, when you're knitting and you're doing dollies, it is okay to tie knots because it's going to be on the inside of your work. And what I like to do is I just tie those knots, the 2 colors together, and then you can either trim the strand of yarn or you can just leave it. I like to trim it when I'm going because that shows me that it's actually been tied, and it's important to tie them so they don't come loose on your project. But so you'll see all mine tied, but I'm probably being just a little bit too picky, right, Jim? I got a little bit picky about stuff. Probably drives you crazy, huh? He's going, oh yeah, you don't have to tell me about it.
Yeah. You bleached all the floors before.
I did. I've been trying to keep the house extra clean because of the COVID, and so I've now outlawed shoes in our house. Well, when I used to work in the hospital, there were so many things that we could bring into our home and have it get on the carpet or what have you, and we just don't need that stuff happening. Even though it's a much smaller chance of getting something, I don't care how small the chance is. I'd just rather not deal with it. So now he's got to put his shoes on outside in the garage for a while until things get better.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
because we're all trying to stay safe and clean. And boy, I've been scouring those countertops and making sure everything stays nice and clean. All right, let's see what we got here. So these little dollies are just a really nice little break from the stress.
So what are you doing right now? What are you knitting?
What I'm doing is I'm knitting the backside. I'm knitting round number 2 on my little dollies, just so you can get a little closer visual of what our stripes look like. So now I didn't tie this little guy, so I'm going to take these 2 and then I'm going to knit across the front. So these are my little ones that we tie, and you'll see how I take them and I flip my hand. So I'll change my hand so that they're tied in a knot that cannot come undone. And I tie them tight. I don't get too excited about what my stitch is doing under there. I don't really care. I just want them tight. Okay? And then if you... I am not actually delicate about things. I wish I was sometimes, because I've been known to break stuff by trying a little too hard, huh, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the time I put the ATV in the back of the truck and it went right through the window? Because it was raining outside and we were trying to get the kids' ATV into the back of the truck, and
you were convinced you could drive up the ramp.
Yes, I was driving up the ramp, but I had it floored, and Jim and my sister Tammy dropped the wheels all at once, and I didn't know they were going to drop those wheels, and it made contact and went wham right into the back of my pickup truck. Thank goodness I did that, because if Jim had done that, he would have been in a world of hurt. I would have never let him forget it. And when I did it, I went, whoops.
Because that was your truck.
It was my pickup truck. Oh, we had to get the tractor it pushed a big V into the back, but it never broke the back windshield. It was good, yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, so what are you showing here now?
Okay, wait 1 second. I'm almost done. I got to finish this last stripe. I'm trying to give them a good visual of what the stripes look like with the different techniques. 1 second here, darling. I'm almost there. All right, and then remembering that, okay, let's see here. So, okay, here's our little dollies. So, oops, my little stitch marker thing came off from my eyes. So if you look right here, doesn't that look nice? And see, it looks every bit as good as this one. Looks really good. And this is Peggy Mowry's technique. That one's that one right there.
It's the Icelandic Jogless or something like that?
Yeah, it's the Jogless joined by Icelandic knitters. But I actually, I never found that actual one. I just used Peggy's on the Facebook Live. Is what I did. And this one right here, hers actually looks a little bit better than mine does, to tell you the truth. I actually am convinced. I like hers just slightly. You can see how there's a tiny little bit of a jog right there and a tiny little bit of a jog right there. But look at this one. Hey, Peggy, you're right. It looks phenomenal. My new method. And it was easy too. That's totally cool. Awesome. Okay, Peggy, you taught us a new skill. I'm totally excited about it. So I'll have Kathleen do a little blog post on that so that we can all have that little recipe that Peggy gave us. It's totally awesome. And I have researched this from one end of the earth to the other, I think. And I learned something new. So thank you. That's awesome. Okay, now I need to remember to do last week's winner, right?
That's right.
So we've talked about our Izzy dolls. We talked about how this can help little kids with stress, or adults maybe, or maybe our grandmas and grandpas that are stuck in the house and scared to death about this virus. These comfort dolls make a great project, and you get to use up your odds and ends. Isn't that awesome? So this was the colorway.
Right.
This is in our Bravo Petite baby alpaca yarn made in Peru. I love this yarn. It's one of my
and Kelley, there was a question, are we still shipping? And the answer is
yes, we are still shipping, and our store is closed right now. Until when, Jim?
The 30th.
until the 30th of this month, just due to an abundance of caution for all of you guys and for our staff. We want to make sure that everyone stays safe. We don't want to contribute to replicating that virus.
And the knitting table and all that. So
yes, we're just worried because we have a lot of elderly people who come in and young people as well, but we're particularly concerned about our elderly customers that come in. And so we'll have it closed until the 30th, but we will still be serving you online. And if you call and have a question, we will be answering any of the questions that we can and having the store open that way for the online visitors. So back to this, right?
Yep.
Here's the 2 skeins. This was our yarn for last week's little thing. Oh, okay. So our prize for last week. Let's look at our winner. Bonnie Morcell Fielder. Bonnie Fielder, you won. Congratulations. You get this lovely alpaca baby Bravo Petites. It's so awesome. So soft. You'll enjoy this one. It kind of has like, do you see the heathered look to it? So Bonnie, all you have to do is give us your address. You go to customer service at Alpaca Direct, right, Jim?
Yep.
And give us your address, and we'll get this out in the mail to you. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy knitting with it. And then for this next week's prize, we have this lovely Kabasi Plus, and this is Karen's birthday suit. And this one is Aquamint, so peach or green. And you guys choose, and then we'll send this out in the mail next week for our next week.
Now, why did you choose that for the baby dolls? I'm just curious.
Well, I had just done, remember I had just done the chevron baby blanket?
Right.
I had a bunch of leftovers.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought I could use leftovers. I always try to use all leftovers that I can. So I'm always looking for different projects. And there's another reason why I chose this yarn. And that is that if it needs to be washed or what have you, it's a machine washable yarn. And it's 55% cotton, 16% bamboo, and 8% silk with 21% nylon. So it's nice, sturdy little yarn for little kids. It's soft. They don't get fiber in their mouth if they're sucking on it. And it's just a nice little yarn for kids. And then if you make sure and do the safety eyes with the super glue so that the kids can't take them off, that is a plus right there too.
Hey, Kel.
And I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the hair.
I saw a comment fly by that they said you could knit the eyes, or embroider the eyes, and you did I think you did a show on that.
Oh yeah, I did a Technique Tuesday on the eyes on how to do that. And if you look at past Technique Tuesdays, you will see one for how to embroider
Names
eyes,
and
faces, and all the lips and all that. I did the whole thing on. If you look under Technique Tuesday doll or something like that.
Kathleen can
Remember
post a link.
knitting my own doll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was from. So it totally fantastic. And that was not a quick knit project. That was a knit your heart out project.
Oh, was that?
It was. I was just knitting the doll as I was going.
Oh,
but I was
right.
Remember, I used. I made a little jacket. The hands actually had mittens. They were full mittens. The feet were actual socks.
Right.
It was actually quite detailed. I just made a little. Anyway, it was one of my tangents that I did. You know how it is. So I think that's about all I have today. So don't forget, these comfort dolls are super quick knit project, and if you put them on your needles 2 at a time, you can do these in just a couple of hours from start to finish. They're pretty cute. And use the little techniques that I used for the neck, doing knit 2 together for 2 rounds, and then knit front and back for 2 rounds using the new colorway. And then you don't have to worry about seaming the neck and making it look good. And then the bottom, of course, using Judy's Magic Cast On and casting on 8 stitches, knitting around, and then increasing until you have 16 stitches on each needle. And that way you don't have to seam the bottom.
And I think Kathleen's we'll post a blog so that they don't have to memorize all that.
Yeah, but it was super, super fun. And then just making the little dolls and doing something special for those that you love it's such a stressful time right now that it's so nice to make these cute little dollies. It was fun. It put a smile. It was really fun. I enjoyed it yesterday. So, and it was a quick knit project because I was away at my daughter's house. She had her baby shower. And so I went to that, so I didn't have a whole long time to be able to knit projects, but I had fun yesterday. So I hope you guys have a great week. You stay safe. And this next week, oh my goodness, I may be talking about and releasing a simple ribbed hat for you that is either, it is gender neutral for men or women. So I will take a look at that, and hopefully I'll get that ready for you for next Tuesday, and we can talk about that then. So you guys take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you soon.